So quite recently, I was given the opportunity to try out a pre-alpha test build of an upcoming game by the name of Prodeus. Or is it Prodeus? I'm not entirely sure, but in either case, some of you may have heard of this already, some of you may not, but the reasons why I'm interested in it should be quite glaringly obvious. But to get the real obvious joke out of the way, no, this is not a Doom mod, this is a standalone production, but I'm even sure that the developers behind it would agree that yes, this does indeed share a heavy degree of DNA with Doom. I'd also forgive you for suggesting there's a bit of brutal Doom in here as well. I mean, the reasons why are obvious, considering punching your enemy just causes them to erupt in gouts of blood. Shooting enemies with a pistol can frequently cause the top half of an enemy to just, explode. And you can quite freely dismember enemies. I'm not sure if you can dismember the corpses, but you can certainly blow off a leg here and there with a shotgun blast before they hit the ground. I think trying to go any further than that just causes them, to explode all over the place. So, yeah, just a smidge of brutal Doom in here. With regards to the weaponry, however, you will find yourself in very, very familiar territory. The loadout, as far as I played in the demo map here, was almost identical to the Doom loadout. It goes pistol, shotgun, chain gun, and rocket launcher. I mean, the fists get a little bit more airtime here. The fists certainly feel a little bit more forceful when it comes to beating 7 shades of shit out of your enemies. And the shotgun also has a little bit of an augmentation to go along with it. If you press mouse 2 or alt fire, you'll do ADS, which is aim down sights, and also switch the ammo type over to incendiary, which will cause your enemies hit by it to become a flame, suffer continuous flame damage, which I guess is handy in a pinch. But one thing that always crosses my mind when dealing with demonic-type enemies, and I'm pretty sure they're of demonic origin here in Prodeus, are they really all that bothered by fire? I mean, that thing I killed that bore a bit of a resemblance to a Kako was literally spitting lava at me. I'm thinking it was just enjoying the equivalent of a tickle when I was hitting it with the incendiary rounds. But enough of that. I've got a chain gun. And a chain gun is always a great opportunity for any given game to prove its credentials in the dagger department. And I'd say, so far, the chain gun here feels adequate. It feels like what you'd expect from a chain gun. Naturally, I'd always like it to sound beefier, to feel more powerful to fire. You really want that power fantasy feeling when you're wielding a weapon such as this. But on the look, it actually looks pretty gnarly. In fact, that spiky barrel almost leads me to imagine that they could work in a really nifty ult with this, where you spin it up so fast that it turns into kind of an impromptu chainsaw. How cool would that be? With regards to the rocket launcher, I'd say that it certainly does exactly what it says on the tin, launching rockets directly into enemy faces, whereupon they detonate and usually leave the target a bloody, pulpy mess on the floor, or wherever they happen to actually land. If I'm going to be honest, it should be extremely difficult to get the rocket launcher wrong, and thankfully they do not fall into any such traps here. The rocket launcher works as a rocket launcher should. It's got a nice, strong, intimidating looking design. The only area in which I feel like it could do with a bit more improving would certainly be the sound department. The sound of actually launching rockets here is either extremely muted or not actually fully implemented yet. And considering that this is a pre-alpha build, that is highly likely. So that's pretty much my lot, really, when it comes to the weapons that I could find during this pre-alpha build play of Prodeus. I'm looking forward to seeing the other weapons when they're finally implemented, or when I find out where they actually are, if I've just missed a few secrets during the course of this level. But things that I'm always looking out for when it comes to any given set of weapons: the look, the feel, the sound, and crucially, the effect that they have on whatever you tend to point them at. So here's hoping that they can add some more intriguing elements to the weaponry and maybe extend them beyond that level of familiarity that's already present. So how about the level that's available here with the pre-alpha build of Prodeus? Well, one of the first things you'll certainly notice, at the very least in the visuals department, is the very prolific use of gunmetal grey, which I suppose is understandable when you consider that this is some kind of foundry / mining facility beset on all sides by lava. So they're going to need some, metallic structures here to weather all of that heat and It's not going to be made out of wood, is what I'm trying to say here. But for me, there was this very real danger of this level descending into somewhat of a grey and featureless slug, which is a fear that thankfully did not materialize thanks to very canny usage of lighting and colour. You'll find that these surfaces, though grey, are also reflective and can be infused with the glow of things nearby, be it the strip lights, be it the orange fiery glow of the lava pits, or even the ambient glow of the various items that have been placed within them. Couple this with a sense of structure and architecture that leads to some distinctive looking rooms, things that you can easily navigate by, and you've got yourself a recipe for a map that leads you in interesting directions, but doesn't really leave you feeling too lost. And even if that is the case, you do get to take advantage of this very fancy looking auto map here, which gives you a free look fly through of the map should you indeed find yourself turned around. But coming back briefly to the subject of the color grey, I'm sure you'll have noticed that a fair number of the enemies I've been fighting against up until now have predominantly been of that color too. I mean, sure, a few of them have got the orange glowy eye thing going on, which is a good look to go for if you're going for the whole demon possession thing. But I think it's worth bearing in mind that this may be a consequence of the current work-in-progress nature of Prodeus. This may be placeholder, what with the grey drab colour of the enemies themselves, and future updates may indeed add a bit more colour, a bit more distinctiveness to the designs, and I very much hope that they do. But one thing that actually impresses me quite a lot about the enemies here, and by extension some of the items and weapons that you'll pick up during the course of this map, is the fact that these are actually 2D sprites. And it may seem obvious to some of you out there, but at the start of the map I did actually spend a while looking at some of the basic enemies and trying to figure out whether they were 3D models animated in such a way to make them look like 2D models. But no, they are in fact 2D sprites with very high degrees of rotation to them, which means you can view them at any given angle, be it above, below, side to side, around the back of them, and they'll have a frame of animation dedicated to how they should appropriately be viewed at that point, even when they're dead. And that's a massive pain in the ass. A colossal pain in the ass. It really is, and I hope I could convey to you exactly why I was impressed about that particular feature. So, how do I feel overall about my experience with the pre-alpha build of Prodeus? Well, for one, it certainly doesn't feel like a pre-alpha build. This feels real solid. It feels like a genuine demo gameplay level of something that is much further along than pre-alpha. It gives a real strong idea of the look, the aesthetic, the design philosophy that's going to go into Prodeus going forward. But I can't help but feel that it is hewing a little too close to its source inspirations, and I'm hoping that as development continues with Prodeus, it'll be able to develop a bit more of a distinctive personality of its own and help it stand out a bit more from the crowd of the retro FPS revival. But yeah, you can certainly color me intrigued on this one. I'm very interested in the future of Prodeus, and even now the team behind it are already making some very positive and strong forward steps, such as hiring the likes of Dragonfly, a very notable Doom community mapper who's been responsible for some frankly awesome creations. So that's looking like it's going to be a very good fit with the Prodeus team. In any case, if you somehow find yourself similarly intrigued in the future of Prodeus, dear viewer, you should know that there is currently a Kickstarter campaign running for this very game. So if you're feeling generous and you'd like to support the team behind Prodeus, you'll find the link to the Kickstarter page in the description below. Speaking of generosity, I'd like to give a shout out to my wonderful patrons over on Patreon. There they go, whizzing up the screen right now. Thank you so much for supporting the channel and for helping to make content like this possible. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. Feel free to let me know what you thought in the comments. But until next time, this has been Mr. Icarus. Thank you very much for watching. Icarus out.